The first thing 38-year-old Elias Boone heard was the scratching, not the howl of a wolf. Not the crack of a falling tree. Something was dragging itself across the frozen porch of his isolated mountain cabin. It was shortly after midnight, and outside the Rocky Mountains had disappeared beneath a wall of snow. Elias had lived alone for 7 winters, far beyond the nearest settlement, and he knew every sound the wilderness could make. This sound was different. He took his lantern, he opened the door, and froze. A young woman lay half buried in the snow. She looked no older than 27. Her dark brown hair was soaked with melted snow, her cream-colored frontier dress was torn at the shoulder, and one boot was missing. Her lips trembled as she tried to speak. Elias rushed down the porch. "Miss," her eyes opened, "please." Then she looked past. "Don't let them take the babies." Elias followed her gaze. 2 tiny bundles lay near the fireplace, newborns, twins. He lifted them carefully. They were frighteningly cold. Elias carried all 3 strangers inside and slammed the door against the storm. The woman tried to rise. "My name is Anna Mercer." "Who are these children?" She looked toward the babies. "You don't know." Elias stared at her. "You crossed a mountain in a blizzard carrying 2 babies you don't know." Anna's eyes filled with tears. "I didn't have a choice." "Why?" she whispered. "Because the people looking for them weren't trying to save them." A long silence filled the cabin. Then came a distant sound, a horse. Anna's face went pale. "They found me." Elias extinguished the lantern. Outside another horse appeared, then another. 4 riders moved through the snow. Elias watched them through a narrow gap in the shutters. They weren't searching randomly. They were coming directly toward his cabin. Anna whispered, "There's something you need to know." Elias didn't turn. "What?" "The babies aren't ordinary." A shadow stopped outside. Anna continued. "They are the last living descendants of the Blackridge family." Elias's eyes narrowed. Everyone in the northern mountains knew that name. Blackridge mining had once controlled the richest silver territory in Colorado. Then the family disappeared. Their mine was taken over by Calder Voss, a man who had become one of the most powerful businessmen in the territory. Elias whispered. "Voss." Ina nodded. "He wants them dead." A fist struck the cabin door. "Open up." Elias reached for his rifle. Anna grabbed his sleeve. "They'll kill you too." Elias looked at her. "You dragged danger to my doorstep." "I know, and you're going to help me keep it away." The door exploded inward. A man stepped through. Elias moved first. He struck the rifle aside and drove the attacker into the wall. Another man entered through the window. Anna grabbed the babies. The second attacker reached for her. She swung an iron kettle into his arm. He staggered. Elias turned just as a third man climbed through the chimney opening. The cabin became a storm of movement. Wood splintered. Snow blew across the floor. One baby began crying. The sound changed everything. Elias fought harder. He forced one attacker outside. Anna backed toward the rear room. Then a 4th man appeared behind her. His hand reached toward one of the children. Anna screamed. Elias crossed the cabin in seconds. He caught the man's wrist. "Not them." The man smiled. "You don't know what you're protecting." Elias slammed him against the wall. "Maybe not." He looked toward the twins. "But I know what you're trying to do." The attackers finally retreated. Their leader pointed toward Elias. "You've made yourself part of this." Elias stepped onto the porch. "Then tell Voss to come himself." The rider disappeared into the storm. Elias shut the door. Anna was trembling. "We can't stay here." Elias looked at the broken window. "I know. Where can we go?" Elias took 2 blankets and wrapped the babies carefully. "There is an old ranger shelter east of here." Anna shook her head. "Voss will know it." Elias looked toward the mountains. "There is another place. Where? A cave behind a frozen waterfall." Anna stared at him. "No one knows about it." Elias paused. My father did." "And where is he now?" Elias's expression changed. "Dead." Anna understood there was a story behind that answer. But before she could ask, Elias opened the rear door. The wind nearly knocked them backward. "Stay close." He carried the twins beneath his coat. Anna followed, and neither of them noticed the small figure watching from the trees. A man wearing a black scarf. A man who had never entered the cabin. A man who had been waiting for them to leave. The mountains swallowed them. For hours Elias led Anna through narrow ravines, across frozen streams, and beneath trees bent beneath the weight of snow. Anna stumbled repeatedly. "You should rest," Elias said. "If I rest, the babies freeze." Elias looked at her. "You've been walking for 3 days. And they have been alive for 3 days, because I kept walking." That answer silenced him. At last they reached the frozen waterfall. Elias pressed his hand against the ice, and he struck it 3 times with the butt of his rifle. A hollow sound answered. Anna stared. There is a cave behind it? There was. Elias cleared away the snow. A narrow opening appeared. Inside, they found a dry chamber. Elias built a fire. Anna immediately placed the babies beside it. For several minutes, neither spoke. Then one baby opened its tiny hand. Anna touched its fingers. They're stronger. Elias nodded. They're going to survive. Anna looked at him. You really believe that? You wouldn't say it if I didn't. For the first time she smiled. It lasted only a second. Then Elias noticed something, a leather cord around Anna's neck, a small silver key hung from it. What does that open? Anna's hand immediately covered it. Nothing. Elias stared at her. You crossed half a mountain carrying newborns while armed men chased you. Nothing doesn't need a key. Anna looked away. I promised their mother. Elias sat down. Tell me the truth. Anna remained silent. Then she finally spoke. The children's mother wasn't killed in the avalanche. Elias went still. What? She was alive when I found her. Where? In the Black Ridge mine. Anna's voice dropped. She gave me the babies and this key. Elias looked at the silver key. You did she say? Anna swallowed. She said Voss wasn't trying to steal the mine. Elias frowned. Then what? She said the mine never belonged to him. Before Elias could respond, a gunshot cracked outside. The bullet struck the stone. Elias extinguished the fire. Anna pulled the babies close. A voice echoed from beyond the waterfall. Elias Boone. Calder Voss. Elias moved toward the entrance. Voss stood beyond the frozen curtain of ice. His black coat was covered in snow. You've caused me considerable trouble, Voss called. Elias answered. You brought armed men after infants. Voss smiled. You still don't understand. Then explain. Voss looked toward Anna. The woman you're protecting knows what happened inside Black Ridge mine. Anna stepped forward. You murdered her family. Voss's expression hardened. No. He pointed toward the babies. I saved this territory from them. Anna shook her head. You're lying. Voss laughed quietly. Then ask her what happened to your father, Elias. Elias froze. Anna looked at him. Voss smiled. Yes. Your father wasn't killed by wolves, Elias. Elias's hand tightened around his rifle. How do you know my father? Voss answered. Because he worked for me. The cave went silent. Elias stared at Anna. Is that true? Anna's eyes filled with tears. I didn't know how to tell you. You knew? I found his name in the Black Ridge records. Elias stepped backward. For 7 years, he had believed his father died protecting their mountain from criminals. Now the entire story was collapsing. Voss continued. Your father discovered the truth. What truth? That the Black Ridge heirs were still alive. Elias looked at the babies. Voss lowered his voice. And he hid them before I could reach them. Anna whispered. Your father saved their lives. Elias's face hardened. Then why did he die? Voss smiled. Because he refused to tell me where he hid the evidence. A terrible realization crossed Elias's face. The silver key. He looked at Anna. What does it open? Anna slowly removed the key from her neck. The old Black Ridge assay office. Voss immediately raised his weapon. Give it to me. Elias stepped in front of Anna. No. Voss's men moved closer. Elias looked at the narrow cave entrance. There were too many of them. Then Anna noticed something carved into the stone behind Elias. A symbol, the same symbol on the silver key. She pressed the key against it. A hidden section of rock shifted. A narrow passage opened behind them. Elias stared. His father's secret wasn't just the cave. The mountain itself had been hiding something. Inside, he ordered. Anna carried the babies through the passage. Elias followed. Voss shouted, Stop them! The men rushed forward, but the passage suddenly narrowed. Only one man could pass at a time. Elias waited. The first attacker entered. Elias struck. The second followed. Anna used the darkness to guide the babies deeper into the passage behind them. Voss shouted furiously, You cannot hide forever. Elias looked back. No, he raised his rifle. But you won't find us. Then the passage collapsed behind them. The mountain went silent. Chapter 3. The truth in the mountain hidden tunnel led them deep beneath the Black Ridge territory. At the end stood an old wooden door. Elias recognized the carving immediately, his father's initials. He opened it. Inside was a small underground room filled with dusty ledgers, maps, letters and sealed metal boxes. Anna stared. This is what Voss was afraid of. Elias opened the first box. Inside was a document bearing the Black Ridge family seal. But beneath it was another signature, his father's. Anna read the first page. Her face changed. What? Elias looked at her. What does it say? She whispered. Your father discovered that Voss forged the entire ownership record. Elias slowly turned the pages. Every document showed the same thing. Voss had created false mining claims, he had bribed officials, he had erased Blackridge descendants from the registry. And the final document contained one sentence that changed everything. The true ownership of Blackridge remains with the surviving heirs. Elias looked toward the twins. The entire mountain wasn't Voss's, it belonged to them then. Anna found a letter. It was addressed to Elias. His hands shook as he opened it. His father's handwriting filled the page. The message was simple. He had known he might not survive. He had hidden the evidence because he believed one day someone would come carrying the Blackridge children. He had written, "If they reach your cabin, protect them. Not because they are heirs. Protect them because they are innocent." Elias lowered the letter. Anna stood beside him. "You finally know why your father died." Elias looked at her. "And you?" "I came here because their mother trusted me. Why didn't you leave them at the settlement?" Anna's eyes filled with tears, because Voss had already bought the men there. A sound echoed from the tunnel. They weren't alone. Voss had found another entrance. Elias grabbed his rifle. "Stay with the babies." Anna shook her head. "No, Ina, I've been running from these men for 3 days. She looked directly at him. "I'm done running." Voss entered the chamber. This time he carried no weapon. That frightened Elias more than a rifle would have. Voss looked around. "So you found it." Elias held up the documents. "It's over." Voss smiled. "You think paper can defeat me?" "No." Elias stepped forward. "People can." Behind Voss, several of his own men lowered their weapons. They had read enough. One of them spoke. "You told us the Blackridges were dead." Voss's smile disappeared. Another man stepped back. "You said the children didn't exist." Voss turned toward them. "Don't be fools." The men refused to move. Anna held the twins close. Voss suddenly lunged toward her. Elias intercepted him. The two men crashed into the table. Documents scattered across the floor. Voss fought desperately. Elias struggled to hold him back. Then Voss grabbed a lantern. He threw it toward the papers. Fire spread across the wooden floor. Anna screamed. Elias kicked the lantern away. But smoke filled the chamber. Voss tried to escape through the tunnel. Elias caught him. The two men fought in the darkness. Voss struck Elias across the face. Elias stumbled. Voss reached for the tunnel. Then Anna appeared behind him. She held the silver key. "You forgot something." Voss turned. She threw the key into the fire. Voss's eyes widened. He rushed toward it. Elias tackled him. The struggle ended against the stone wall. When the smoke cleared, Voss lay defeated. His own men stood around him. One of them picked up the surviving documents. "We're taking these to the marshal." Voss looked at Elias. "You'll never own this mountain." Elias looked toward the twins. "I don't want it." Voss frowned. Elias continued, "I want them to grow up knowing nobody owns their lives." Outside, dawn finally broke. The storm was ending. For the first time in days, sunlight touched the mountain. That was no longer ample. Months later, the truth about Blackridge became known throughout the territory. Calder Voss lost his claims. The forged records were exposed. The surviving Blackridge heirs were placed under legal protection until their inheritance could be secured. But something unexpected happened. Anna didn't leave. She stayed in the mountain settlement and helped rebuild the clinic. Elias repaired his cabin, and the two newborns remained under their care. One evening, Anna stood beside the porch railing. The mountain was quiet. Elias came outside carrying firewood. "You're staring at the trail again," he said. Anna smiled. "You was remembering the night I crawled up it. You looked half frozen." "I was. You were stubborn. I had 2 babies to save." Elias looked through the window. The twins were sleeping beside the fireplace. "You saved more than 2 lives." Anna looked at him. "What do you mean?" Elias looked around the cabin. "For 7 years I thought this place was my home." He smiled. "I was wrong." Anna's eyes softened. "What is it now?" Elias looked through the window. "Again a home." Inside, one of the babies began to cry. Anna laughed softly. Elias sighed. "Sounds like someone disagrees." They walked inside together. Outside, the Rocky Mountains remained enormous, cold and dangerous, but Elias Boone no longer feared the silence, because the cabin that had once held nothing but a lonely man and a dying fire, now held something the mountain could never take away, a family built not by blood, but by courage. And every winter after that, whenever the snow covered the old trail, the people of the settlement remembered the story of the woman who crawled through a blizzard carrying 2 babies. And the mountain man who opened his door. He thought he was saving them. But in the end, they saved him too. If this story touched your heart, Subscribe to Meaningful Impact 2.1 for more cinematic Western stories filled with courage, sacrifice, mystery, and unexpected hope.